Tankers, bulldozers, and hand crews to gain the upper ground. Officials say the cause of this fire remains under investigation.
Let's take a live look outside for you from our Agua Caliente casino camera in Palm Springs. Something we have noticed throughout the day, though, you can smell smoke from different parts of the valley. And as you look to the past, you see a little bit of the haze out there as well. So let's check in with our Chloe Carlson, who's keeping an eye on all of those alerts that impact our Coachella Valley. Chloe?
Hi, Olivia. We have a little bit of an update with the air quality alert. It was supposed to end at 6 p.m. this evening. That is now being extended through tomorrow evening because of that wildfire smoke. So here's just the location again of all those fires that Olivia, Mark, and Brett mentioned across portions of the IE. So yeah, that will continue through tomorrow. We're also tracking that extreme heat warning. So we got extreme heat, some gusty winds for that area. That's going to continue through Tuesday. Hot temperatures for us here in Southern California. As far as banning that wolf fire, here's those current conditions. 90 degrees there, winds 18 miles per hour from the west. So those gusts are in the mid-20s through this evening. And unfortunately, winds are remaining gusty today through portions of Southern California. Onshore flow, 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts for us here in Palm Springs. Looking to stay consistent through most of this week. So for those areas, the wind corridor there near Banning, 20-mile-per-hour sustained winds. Areas could pick up to 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts through Thursday. So something that we are tracking. Good news is, because we are seeing those hot conditions, that's going to change in the middle of the week. We're tracking this trough of low pressure. That's going to cool us down, which we need. We're talking about those fires. And then a little bit of moisture might be drawn up. So we need that chance of rain for our mountains. Very slight chance. We'll talk about that more in that full forecast. Here's a look at your Comfort Air 3-day forecast. We'll stay hot, well above average through our Tuesday, more seasonal through the middle of the week. We'll break down more you can expect in that full forecast coming up.
All right, Chloe, thank you for that. Turning to some local headlines this evening, a Desert Hot Springs man facing charges after police say he hit a bicyclist with his car in Cathedral City and then took off on foot. Officers say that 22-year-old Miguel Angel Romero Vallejo was found walking about a mile from the car crash site about 10 minutes after it happened on Date Palm Drive, just north of Perez Road. The victim is a local man. He was riding in the bike lane when he was struck from behind. He was hospitalized with multiple injuries. Vallejo was booked into jail on suspicion of felony hit and run, with bail set tonight at $25,000.
Staying in Desert Hot Springs, police there issued 9 citations and towed 5 cars during a DUI checkpoint over the weekend. Officers screened more than 600 vehicles between Friday night and early Saturday morning. They made no arrests in this checkpoint, but the next one is scheduled for August. Drowning is the leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 4 across the country. That's according to the CDC.
But now a new grant is helping address this issue by providing free swim lessons to people who live in Riverside County. Our Kai Beach tonight with that story.
Get a little bit more peace of mind knowing that my kids are more experienced and just ready to swim and have the opportunity to learn.
A new program is making a big splash at the Palm Desert Aquatic Center.
It can be the difference between life and death. I mean, honestly, that's where it comes down to.
Manager David Keys says a major grant from First 5 Riverside County is funding free swimming lessons for children up to age 5.
Hi, Harley. How are you?
We really want to utilize all this funding that they've provided us. So we have families out here in Riverside County and specifically in the Coachella Valley have their children safe to swim in the water.
With drowning being the leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 4 in the U.S., according to the CDC, parents say these free swimming lessons provide critical life-saving skills.
I think it's definitely like a peace of mind as a parent. Obviously, like it's a great opportunity for families that maybe can't afford to come to the swim lessons.
Kids learning how to swim will give them the confidence that they need, but just not being afraid of water is so important.
Nice try, nice try. Definitely a great opportunity for the kids. It gives you a relief when they learn how to swim.
New swim classes start every 2 weeks throughout the summer, and registration must be done in person. So stop by.
Shirley, come on.
And discover how this big splash is making a big difference in our community. I'm Kai Beach for NBC Palm Springs.
Our thanks to Kai for that this evening. All right, the 4th of July is this Friday, and right now the annual crackdown on illegal fireworks is underway across Riverside County. Last year's effort led to nearly 400 citations, 10 arrests, It's mostly for the transportation of illegal fireworks. So this year, county agencies are stepping up their enforcement once again. Not all fireworks are off limits, though. Safe and sane fireworks like sparklers, fountains, and snappers are allowed in certain areas, including Coachella, Desert Hot Springs, and Indio. If you're someone who sees or you hear some illegal fireworks going off in your neighborhood, you can report it. Just call the sheriff's non-emergency line.
Fire officials recommend leaving it to the professionals when it comes to fireworks this 4th of July. And fortunately for you, there are a lot of shows happening around the Coachella Valley. Agua Caliente Casino and Spa and Rancho Mirage is holding its 11th annual 4th of July celebration. It's a fireworks spectacular. It starts at 9 p.m. And the best part is it is free to the public. Gates open at 3. There are 700 spaces available for you to park your car if you want that drive-in style experience. Now, don't worry if you can't make it out there in person, or maybe you want to stay in the air conditioning. We've got you covered. We'll be broadcasting the fireworks live on our sister station, KPSE. That's cable channel 20. You'll find Mark and myself out there with the crowd. Promises to be a great evening, so come on and say hello to us. Tune in at 9 o'clock, and then don't worry, we'll run it again at 11 p.m. here on NBC Palm Springs, so you can watch the fireworks all night long.
City of Palm Desert is holding its celebration over at Civic Center Park, also on Friday. Festivities start at 7:30 at night. Fireworks show gets underway at 9. So there's all sorts of fun happening across the valley on Friday, so be sure not to miss it.
And then over in Coachella, the city kicking off the 4th of July weekend with its annual Independence Day celebration. It starts Thursday, July 3rd. This is at Bagduma Park. It's a free family-friendly event at 6:30, runs until 10. Carnival rides, food trucks, a pie eating contest, live music from a DJ as well. Organizers, they're starting a bit later this year, but they're adding 30 more minutes of fun. The night wraps up with the fireworks finale that lights up the sky at 9:30 again. This is the night before the 4th of July. Coming up next here on NBC Palm Springs, your Coachella Valley Firebirds announcing forward Ian McKinnon has been re-signed to a 2-year contract. Our Caitlin Kelly tells us more about what this means for the team later on in sports.
Also, a major athletic brand suing a big-name retailer. Why Lululemon is going after Costco. That's ahead.
And here's a look at your gold and silver prices to start off the work week. All of those headlines right after the break. Stay with us.
They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discover the unique stories that set our valley apart. Together, we're going to find inspiration and foster connections that strengthen the fabric of our community.
Welcome back. Let's turn to some news across the country tonight. A federal judge in Tennessee has once again delayed the release of a Maryland man wrongfully deported to El Salvador. Today, the judge acted on a motion from Kilmar Abrego Garcia's lawyers to delay his release. Defense lawyers say there were conflicting messages from federal prosecutors on whether the government intends to deport Abrego Garcia to a country other than his homeland if he's freed from the Tennessee jail. Prosecutors have accused him of human smuggling. Abrego Garcia denies the charges. A hearing is set for next month to determine whether he will be released.
Google announced it purchased 200 megawatts of fusion energy from a plant that isn't even built yet. Google revealing the deal with Massachusetts-based Commonwealth Fusion Systems today. Both companies tout it as a major step towards fusion commercialization. The appeal of fusion energy is that it can supply the electricity that companies like Google need for things like data centers and artificial intelligence with zero carbon emissions. The catch, though, a machine this precise and powerful has never been built before. Construction on the plant won't start until early next decade, and there's no expected date for when it will start producing fusion energy.
In some consumer news, a popular athletic clothing brand is taking legal action against a well-known big box retailer. Lululemon suing Costco for selling knockoff versions of its clothes. Well, according to a lawsuit filed Friday, Lululemon claims Costco sold unlicensed apparel. The athleisure company says the wholesaler's private label line, Kirkland, is selling similar clothes at a fraction of the price. Lululemon is seeking to recover full financial losses. The company also asked the court to require Costco to stop selling those products.
China's largest coffee chain is entering this country. Luckin Coffee opened 2 locations in New York City today. The company, which debuted in 2017, mostly relies on takeout booths and cashless payments. In addition to hot and cold coffee options, Luckin also has fruit-boosted drinks and pastries. Luckin has more than 22,000 stores in China. It was 2 years ago that the chain started to bring in some more revenue than Starbucks in that country. Luckin drinks are about 30% cheaper than Starbucks offerings. All right, we're giving you a live look tonight from our Indian Wells Golf Resort camera on this Monday night. Got a lot going on in the weather department, everything from smoky conditions from those wildfires and a big warm up in the forecast. Chloe Carlson tracking it all with those details right after this break.
Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome back. Right now, we're taking a live look at the Walter Clark Highway 11 cam in Rancho Mirage. Clear blue skies today, and this is rare for Rancho Mirage, but some gusty winds shaking that cam a little bit. You can see those trees there as well at the river. Gusty conditions a little bit as we kick off this week. 112 for the high today, so we were slightly above average, but we are in the final day of June, so I can happily say we did not reach 120 degrees at all for June 2025, which is very exciting because I feel like we've got there at least once a year, every year that I've been here. So there you go. Something to celebrate, even though it is still hot out there today. 106 still on the southeast end in Indio, 105 for Thousand Palms, still triple digits as well in Desert Hot Springs. Overnight tonight will be in the low 80s here for the desert floor, 70s up there in the high desert. So for tomorrow, we talked about that ridge of high pressure that is kind of moving through Southern California. It's going to be making its way east, so we'll still be hot for our Tuesday. A little bit of some high clouds might start to build, though, because as we get into our Wednesday, we have this low pressure system center that is off the coast right now, Point Conception, but that'll start to move more towards Southern California as we get into middle of this week. It's going to drop a little bit of that tropical moisture into Southern California, so we could see some high clouds out there across our skies for the next couple of days, some cumulus clouds over our mountain communities, and a very slight chance, 10% chance of rain sprinkles for those mountain areas. So not likely, but worth mentioning. Fireworks viewing going to be great for us on July 4th. If you're heading out to the fireworks show at Agua Caliente Casino, 94 degrees, so you can leave the blankets and jackets at home. You won't need them. Here's a look at your Comfort Air 7-day forecast. So 113 for our Tuesday. We'll be back to seasonal by Wednesday.
They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discover the unique stories that set our valley apart. Together, we're going to find inspiration and foster connections that strengthen the fabric of our community.
Babies are experts at paying attention to only what is genuinely fascinating, and we couldn't agree more.
NBC Palm Springs Sports Desk. Brought to you by Agua Caliente Casinos. We have your game.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caitlin Kelly. Tim O'Brien has the night off. Earlier today, the Coachella Valley Firebirds announced forward Ian McKinnon has been re-signed to a 2-year contract. The 27-year-old was one of the franchise's first signings back in 2022 and is coming off his best season yet. Last season, he racked up a total of 11 points in 53 games played. McKinnon, known for being the muscle of this Firebirds team, as you see right there, also has racked up a hefty amount of penalty minutes over the course of his AHL career, 417 to be exact. So we know when Ian is on the ice, we are in for a show. Ian McKinnon staying a Firebird and calling Acrisure Arena home for at least another 2 seasons. And speaking of Acrisure Arena, we know the Los Angeles Lakers are slated to play against the Phoenix Suns on October 8th for the first preseason game of the 2025-2026 NBA season. But there's a lot of Lakers fans in the desert nervous about what this Lakers team could look like come tip-off. Over the weekend, LeBron James opted into his $52 million player option. Could this mean LeBron is seeking a trade, or is he pushing the Lakers organization to fill the vacancy at the center position? I spoke with Lakers insider Trevor Lane of LakersNation.com to learn about what fans can expect as we enter free agency.
So LeBron James picked up his player option with the Los Angeles Lakers for next season. That means he is under contract with them. However, in doing so, his agent also issued a statement in which it threw into question whether or not he actually wants to stay with the Lakers long term. He's going to wait and see what they do this summer, the free agency market really starting up, see what the Lakers can do on the trade front, and then figure out if he believes in a very crowded Western Conference the Lakers can contend for a championship. And if he doesn't think that's going to be the case, then he could look to potentially push for a trade. So the general sense is that LeBron is probably trying to get the Lakers to go out there and make some moves, improve the team right now. But he is floating the idea that he could potentially look for another team via the trade market if they're not able to get him the kind of squad that he wants.
Only time will tell what will happen over the next few months, but the NBA, as always, staying interesting all year round. And today we kicked off day one of Wimbledon, where SoCal native Taylor Fritz took on Giovanni Pesce-Perricard. Fritz, whose father notably coached right here at College of the Desert, was visibly frustrated when the match was suspended early due to the 11 p.m. curfew. Fritz dropped the first two sets but came storming back to tie it up, and with all the momentum on his side, the match was suspended in the fifth set. Play will resume tomorrow. Talk about a cliffhanger. That'll do it for sports. I'm Caitlin Kelly.
And now the Agua Caliente Entertainment Report, brought to you by Agua Caliente Casinos.
In some entertainment news tonight, on Sunday, severe thunderstorms swept through Wisconsin. It led to the temporary evacuation of an outdoor concert. It was for country star Morgan Wallen. He was rounding out his concert weekend in Madison. The concert goers there at the stadium at Camp Randall were told to find the nearest exit and seek shelter for a half hour. Well, they were eventually able to safely go back to their seats and enjoy the rest of the show. However, there were a few more delays after that, so hopefully they were really big Morgan Wallen fans. So that's a very long night. We're back right after this.
Brighter Side of the News is brought to you by Fiesta Kia. Discover the all-new Fiesta Kia located in the I-10 Auto Mall.
All right, definitely the brighter side here. A Detroit business owner given a one-of-a-kind send-off. You're looking at rose petals and cash falling from a helicopter. family of Daryl Thomas, who owned a local car wash. And he was known for his generosity, said it was his final gift to the community. The crowd gathered below. They celebrated his life at a block party. You can see the petals and the dollar bills. They came raining down from above. Detroit police say they knew about the petals. They did not know about the cash, but they did say they will not be investigated.
Well, that'll stop traffic.
I was going to say, I would have definitely pulled over. I don't have anyone else there.
I just get shown the door when I'm leaving my job. So yeah, hopefully I get a send off like that one day.
All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. We're back here for the news at 11, so please join us for that. Meantime, we'll send things over to Fred Rogan tonight. He's got the latest with the Rogan Report. Hey, Fred.
Hey, Mark. The Rogan Report is presented by The Living Desert.
All right, skinny dipping in your own backyard, Ring cameras and where to point them, fake news, and the Rogan Report's newest fan. It's not that guy. It's all coming up. Welcome to the start of a new week. It wasn't a good week for Jennifer Cheney of Mountain Center. We talked about the dangers of Highway 74, the narrow, windy road. Look at the pictures. Jennifer was driving the red car, which ended up smashed against the mountain. What happened? Driver of the black Mercedes crossed over the double yellow line into the other lane and tried to pass her. They were headed to a turn. He didn't know if there would be oncoming traffic, so he tried to get back in the process, smashed her into the mountain. When police asked if he knew what a double line meant, he said no. When he was asked why he was trying to pass, he said he was impatient. He's lucky he didn't end up as a patient in the hospital. Jennifer is banged up, but okay. Be careful on Highway 74. So get ready to pay more tomorrow. Gas prices could go up. Some estimate up to 65 cents a gallon due to the new California climate bill. What is that? The program to reduce climate warming gases and clean the air and ratchet up requirements for cleaner fuels. The plan is to slash 558 metric tons of CO2 by 2046. That is the equivalent of yanking 120 million cars off the road. The rule was even slapped down earlier this year for lacking clarity, but now it's back in action, tax hikes and all. Contributors tonight, Brian Harnick and Sue Abramowitz. All right, Brian, would you actually be cool with paying a few extra cents at the pump if it helped cut carbon emissions?
Hey, Fred, we're in Southern California. We all want clean air. That's not the issue. This is not the solution. I can afford the 5 cents. You can too. We're the lucky ones. This is going to fall on the people that can't afford it, the people that can't afford hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles and expensive good fuel mileage vehicles. It's going to hurt the people with families. It's going to hurt the people with older cars, with trucks. This is not the way to solve the problem. We have a bigger issue. We are not solving it the right way. We need big approaches. Taxing and increasing the cost is just an improper way to try to drive cars off the road, to make it too expensive to drive cars. Not the way to do it. We want clean air, but not on the backs of the people that can't afford it and are going to suffer the most.
What do you think,
Sue, what do you think?
Yeah.
You know what, Brian, I'm really glad you brought that up, because I wasn't thinking about that at all. I was remembering when gas was 29 cents a gallon. That's how old I am. But I agree with you. There's a lot of seniors that I interact with that live on Social Security, and their budgets are really limited. And this would affect how they get around and what they need to do. And, you know, the way our country is right now with the confusion and everything, I'm not surprised that this is going on and they're fighting in Sacramento.
Well, look, I understand. I understand the
yeah.
need for clean air. You both do. And
Yeah,
Brian, you
I get
pointed
that too.
out.
I absolutely understand that. And that's important. And California's been a leader in that.
Yeah, but to tax people more and more and more and more
Right,
and hit
right,
them in
right.
something that they absolutely need. They need to drive.
Correct.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't get it, Brian.
You know, look, we're all for rail service, we're all for public transportation, but it doesn't exist on a broad level. And this is not the way to do it. You know, we need to get cars off the road. Nonsense. We need to go about this in a better, more thoughtful way. This is a bigger issue than just taking cars off the road. It's much more complicated than that, Fred. We need electricity. Where do you get it from? You don't just plug it in the wall. It's got to be produced. Sadly, most of it's coming from fossil fuels. We got to figure this out. Taxing people, especially the people that can't afford it's not the way to go, Fred.
All right, let's move on. A lot of the stories we do on this show come from you. That's how it's designed. Why it looks different. Basically, you tell us what matters instead of us telling you. Friday, we ran a story on people swimming naked in their backyard pool. A neighbor wanted the people to be charged with lewd comment because he saw them. He saw them because his Ring camera was pointed in the direction of their backyard. Now, we got this story from a viewer. Someone said to him they saw a naked person swimming in the yard behind them and considered it lewd behavior. How did they see this? Apparently, they have a Ring camera pointed in the direction of the neighbor's backyard. They want to file a complaint with the police.
Skinny dipping is called something else here. It's called chunky dunk, okay? And we don't do it because we back up to the golf course. And frankly, I'm not that proud.
First of all, why is this person's Ring camera facing somebody else's backyard? That is privacy invasion at its best. No.
Yeah, but the Ring camera could be facing the backyard. The argument could be made, Doug, because they want to see if somebody comes through their back door.
What, through their neighbor's pool, over the hedge and into their yard? No, I don't think so. You want to put a camera on your neighbor's backyard and then complain that you see what the neighbor is doing? That's ridiculous.
So we actually thought that was an interesting story. Should anybody care what you do in the privacy of your own backyard? Was swimming naked lewd? Why did the neighbor's Ring camera look into their backyard?
Good job. Please stop. Perfect.
On Facebook, Julie Dill wrote, "Fake news. Do better." There was nothing fake about that. It was very real and actually received more comments than any of what you might consider real news. Our buddy Francis, "This isn't news, this is tabloid. Why can't we get real news anymore? Yuck." Where's the big book of real news? News is spelled N-E-W-S, right? Remove the S and the word is new. Unless it's live, it can't be new because it already happened. That means you can find the traditional meaning of news as it was presented for the last 40 years at about 1,000 places. Why would you want to hear the same thing over and over? That's why we talk about things people tell us matters instead of us telling you what matters. Most people are on the side of Skinny Dipper. Jesus posted, "Camera to their neighbor's yard, camera owner is the bigger creep." Roy agreed. The camera neighbor is invading the pooler's privacy. If it bothers them so much, change camera angle or plant a damn row of hedges. They have no right to tell swimmers what to wear. Sharon added, "Swimming naked is a joy. Biggest reason to have a home pool." Dan, from a legal standpoint, Penal Code 647J3 specifically prohibits the invasion of privacy through the use of cameras in places where there's a reasonable expectation of privacy. Criminal charges, violations of these laws can lead to criminal charges, potentially including jail time.
Good job. Please stop. Perfect.
Seems every day there is a new reason to talk about AI, both the good and the bad, and this is pretty bad.
From the world of AI.
People are literally ending up in psychiatric wards or even jail after spiraling in what is to be called ChatGPT psychosis, where casual conversations with the bot tip into full-blown paranoia, delusions, or messiah complexes. Users with no mental history of illness report that ChatGPT fueling bizarre beliefs like being chosen a prophet or master of metaphysics, which leads to lost jobs and fractured relationships. Here's the deal. Chatbots are engineered to encourage engagement even at the cost of the sanity of the user. Sue, do you think platforms like ChatGPT and OpenAI should be responsible if they push people into delusions or mental health crises?
Oh, you know what? This is a really complicated question. It all depends on the mental health of the person dealing with it at the moment. This is something new for me. I I feel that the Chat GPT, the research I did reading about this before we came on the air, was that there's so much with Chat GPT. They agree, they don't give solutions, there isn't a critical thinking period. So it can be really dangerous for anyone who is questioning their behavior. What about you, Brian? You're Mr. Smarty. I'm so glad I do it with you.
Well, well, thank you. I think that's adding to your AI psychosis if you think that. And by the way, my research showed that I thought Fred Rogan was going to be the Messiah, but that could be wrong. Here's the reality. Mental health is something very, very serious, and it shouldn't be stigmatized.
Yes.
This is not like smoking with tobacco companies knowing it's addictive and putting it out anyway. Mental health shouldn't be a dirty word. It's a condition, and it's a deep, you're right, Sue, it's a very, very deep problem. But computer companies and platforms are not responsible for what's happening to people, what's happening to children, what's happening to self-esteem, what's happening to socialization, increased suicides, things like that. It's not the fault of the technology. We need to get better at teaching, educating, and having controls starting with parents. That's the key.
Yes.
But absolutely do not hold these companies responsible for somebody's mental health crisis that even if it's initiated or it's caused by AI, and it's obviously early, we don't know that. But no, mental health is something that shouldn't be stigmatized, nor should it be blamed by upon the technology.
Hey, where do we draw the line quickly, Brian, between engagement and harm?
Well, you know, that's really a easy question, but a complicated answer. It comes back to education, telling people, learning about it, figuring out. There are so many wonderful opportunities by this technology, but there's a dark side and a negative side and consequences to everything. We don't know the consequences. We need to engage, educate, disclose, warn, but not stop it. It's a great possibility. It's just, we're really at the edge of entering a tremendously brilliant world of technological advancement. Let's stay on that course, but let's be careful about it. Engage, talk about it. Fred, things like this are important. We may be touching somebody who's saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know this existed. I need to get help. Educating and talking about it, Fred, that's the answer.
All right.
Yes.
If your neighbor is on an AI spiral, check in on them, because that's being a good neighbor. Lori in Rancho Mirage husband is looking for a new dermatologist, lost a couple, and needs a good one. Any suggestions? Lisa Palm Desert needs to find a local indoor track where she can do distance walking other than the shops at Palm Desert. David in La Quinta's air conditioner went kaput. He's a senior. He's looking for a reputable company that'll take a look this week. And Sylvain in Bermuda Dunes looking for a fridge. He's broke and he wants to know if Home Depot or Lowe's would be best to deliver a new one for him.
We love it when you contribute, but please make it a note, not a novel.
Oh, and no, I can't pay your water bill. Find Fred on Facebook and Instagram at Fred Rogan or email thedesertdean@gmail.com.
Are you ready to hit the farm or be a server? Over the weekend, I was back in LA and I went to a car wash. I always go to the car wash. It's called Hollywood Star. It's been going there for years. It's a good place. Guy I always talked to told me business was bad because half his staff won't come to work anymore. They're afraid of the raids. Usually he has 28 people working. Now he has 12. There's been no raid at the car wash, but there were in the surrounding neighborhood. No matter which side of the undocumented issue you fall, there are some facts to consider. Many businesses are fueled by those undocumented workers, and what happens if no one is willing to work farm or work in the service industry? ICE raids in California have turned ordinary restaurant kitchens into de facto war zones, forcing owners to board up or scramble for staff in LA. The city's restaurant workforce is overwhelmingly immigrant and Latino. So when fear hits, customers and workers vanish, leaving tables empty and revenue tanking. Chamber of Commerce finally admitted what many have known. Deporting the undocumented staff cripples business and destabilizes the city. Brian, at what point does looking out for the vulnerable workers start to feel like a stand against federal law? Is that a line businesses should really be crossing?
Well, first of all, we are a country built on laws and the process of law. Even if you're here illegally, wherever you stand on this issue, you have rights under our country. That's the beauty of this country. You have some amount of due process rights. Let's provide those. The bigger issue, Fred, is solving the ultimate problem. The good people in this country that aren't here legally, we need to get a path. It's time for their government elected officials to fix the problem. Reagan tried to do it. He gave amnesty, but then we kept doing the same thing. So no, it's not fair to interfere with the lawful enforcement of the law. Remember, ICE officers, they took an oath to uphold the Constitution and enforce the law. That's what they're doing. Fix the problem and get a reasonable path for the good people who are here in this country that we want to stay, that will make our economy vibrant. Let's get them a path. But at the same time, the people that shouldn't be here, we know there are people that should not be here. Let's work to get rid of them. But this is a mess and it's coming to a head. I hope somebody wakes up and fixes the darn problem once and for all.
Sue, would you still go grab tacos at your favorite spot if they started handing out legal advice with the menu?
Oh, absolutely. I would go to Tito's no matter what. And this made me think. My grandfather immigrated from Italy in 1901. He wasn't able to get his naturalization papers until 1921. The problem I'm seeing here is that it's taking too long to become a citizen. If you've been here 10, 20 years and you've been working on becoming a citizen, but you need to learn a new language, you need to study so that when those tests come around, you can pass them. Not everybody's going to do it, but the majority of the people that I've met in restaurants, in laundromats, just car washes, like Brian was talking about, they're good people. They want a better life.
Yep.
They come to America. They work their asses off.
All right,
So,
Brian.
yes.
Brian, thank you. Brian, I got 15 seconds. Just answer this real quick.
Go.
Got to be fast. What happens if the only folks willing to show up are the ones that want to work the farms, want to work the service industry? What happens if these people don't show, Brian? Then what happens?
Hey, you know what? We're going to have to fill the need. We're going to have to pay them more. Hey, Fred, I was a busboy when I was in high school. I know you well enough. You worked, you took the tough jobs. People will take the jobs, get that work ethic back. But Fred, you're touching the problem. We need to fix the immigration problem.
All right. As for the weather, it's hot. It's going to be hot. Let's see what Chloe has to say with super weather.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. Let's talk about July 4th, 94 degrees for the fireworks.
Can it really happen that fast?
Riddle me this. What is light as a feather, yet the strongest person can't hold it for 5 minutes?
Okay. Is the light at Buddy Rogers and Palm Canyon and Cathedral City holding buses longer than cars? Bus driver Valerie wrote us asking us to look into it. We sent Photog Geo out there on Friday and wrote Cathedral City to ask them what they knew. In what may have been the quickest response to a viewer concern that we have ever received, Cat City said on Friday they would look into it, and today they sent us this. Following up on the bus driver traffic light story regarding the intersection at East Palm Canyon Drive and West Buddy Rogers Avenue, CVAG has completed a detailed analysis and implemented several solutions. Realigned video detection zones for both northbound and southbound Buddy Rogers bus detection. Added additional detection zones to compensate for different driving patterns caused by construction. Recommended refreshing lane lines and crosswalk paint for better definition. Verified that eastbound and westbound detection zones were operating properly. The technical adjustments addressed a specific issue where buses weren't triggering the detection system due to their size and positioning compared to regular vehicles. That was an awful lot, wasn't it? Very technical. But boy, they jumped on that pretty quickly. I think everybody could learn from Cathedral City. We often talk about the lack of urgency here in the Valley. Maybe that's changing, and Cat City is driving the urgency train. How do animals stay cool at the zoo? The zoo man will show us.
Let's be honest, it's hot here in the desert, really hot. And you might be asking yourself, how do you keep the animals cool during summer? Well, our specialty is desert plants and animals, so we don't have to try to adapt into this environment. They spent eons doing that themselves. Let's go take a look. Take our warhawks, for example. On a hot day, you can catch them keeping cool in their muddy pool. Emus stretch out their wings to help cool off, and they'll even pant to move air through their bodies, like little evaporative coolers. Plus, here at the zoo, they'll take a splash in their pond.
What's the purpose of giraffe spots? Giraffe spots have a network of blood vessels underneath them that help with thermoregulation, releasing body heat and keeping them cool in their hot environment.
And then there are vultures. Their method? Let's just say they go a little unconventional. They're known to urinate on their legs to cool off as it evaporates. Let's just take their word for it. Here at the zoo, our habitats are designed to have all of the resources animals would need out in the wild. Shade, water features, mud wallows, and places to dig or rest. Sometimes we'll help them a little bit more by adding features they wouldn't find out in the wild, like fans or misters. Of course, Keepers are trained to monitor zoo animals for signs of heat stress, but the species that seems to need the most help in the summer is humans.
And that's why we built this. A place for the coolest kids to come hang out and cool down.
Report was presented by the Living Desert Zoo and Gardens.
If this show puts you to sleep, sweet dreams. If you're awake, tell us what you think. Find Fred on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fred Rogan. You can also email thedesertdean@gmail.com.
What is light as a feather, yet the strongest person can't hold it for 5 minutes? Breath.
All right. Don't forget, don't hold your breath because NBC Palm Springs works 24/7. There you go. Hit the website. There's the show page, The Rogan Report. Our content from tonight will be up there, and content from our past episodes as well. Appreciate you watching. Have a good evening. Wheel of Fortune is next.